'Tis I. Hey everyone, glad to see you back, glad to see you looking fresh. So, recently I've been playing through Live Alive, which is still a silly name to me, but is a great game. A game that looks fantastic due to the new HD-2D art style. And between this, and of course Octopath Traveler a couple years ago, and Triangle Strategy earlier this year, this art style has grown on me tremendously. Even before I even played one of these games, I thought this was a beautiful art style, one that I hope to see a lot more of in the coming future. So I compiled a list of 10 games that I want to see get this treatment. When it comes to this art style, I of course hope to see a lot of new stuff. Obviously, just because one game of these was a remake, and we have another remake down the line with Dragon Quest III, two of these were wholly original games, and I hope to see more wholly original games come along. Maybe a sequel to Triangle, or a sequel to Octopath. Either way, this is just 10 games that I would love to see get the remake treatment, and I have a couple of rules, not really, but some groundwork to set. These aren't all from Square Enix. I get this is Square Enix's engine and their art style, and they've even, I think, copyrighted the name HD-2D at this point, so this is wholly their thing. So some of these, most of these, won't ever get a chance. But hey, you never know, crazier things have happened, and Square could work with some of these companies and make some fantastic products out of it. That being said, of course, there are some games that aren't even out of Japan yet, but with Live Alive, it set a great precedent that we could use this engine to bring new life into games that never got the chance to leave that country. So, without further ado, let's just jump right into this list. In no particular order per se, but we're going to start with some of the ones from Square, some of the more obvious ones, so let's start the conversation with Chrono Trigger. I feel like this is the most obvious one. This is the game that a lot of people think of when they think of Super Nintendo RPGs, a game that doesn't need an update, doesn't need like a full 3D art style recreation, but a nice HD 2D recreation could really work. It could breathe new life into this game that a lot of people have loved for many years, but there's no great way to play it nowadays. I don't know if it's necessarily on any virtual consoles or anything. And that's the thing, just an art style update. A new breath of life into the visuals is all it really needs because the gameplay is solid and has been solid since the Super Nintendo days. Jumping from Chrono Trigger to our next game, another pretty obvious one I would say is Final Fantasy VI. Now, I picked this one because it is the most beloved out of the original 6, I believe, from what I've seen anyway, because of it was able to come out in the West, came out in the West as Final Fantasy III, but that's a whole nother topic. So, this game has many fans, and Square's been very weird with re-releasing the original 6. They're all available in different ways, and there are some versions on modern systems, but some of them are like on your phone, and honestly, I can't even keep track of them. I don't know if they're on the Switch right now or not. I could check, but giving this art style update to a game like that, I think would blow any other version out of the water. Now, the argument can be made, why don't you just make all 6 of them? That's a lot of work. And Square has set a precedent with Dragon Quest III in that they are going to pick probably the most popular of the older ones to do, and maybe down the line get to the other ones, but they haven't even said that much. But hey, if Final Fantasy VI gets this, I would love to see it. I would love to see that game in a new light. And the last of the Square only, we have a game that never released out of Japan. It is called GUNMAN'S Proof. Now, of course, like I said, this was only on the Super Famicom, never saw light outside of Japan. And imagine a game like Zelda, but instead of being in a fantasy Middle Ages setting, it's in a Wild West town. And in a Wild West setting, and there's dungeons and exploration and item getting. It looks great. It looks a lot of fun. I would really enjoy playing it, but there is no way for me to be able to play that game. So, do the Live Alive treatment. You know, if Live Alive taught us anything, that Western town looked fantastic, so an entire game that looks like that, magic. I would love to see it. Bring this game over, let me play it. You know, before Live Alive was announced, I didn't know about it. I had no idea what it was, but having any game that's been locked in a country be able to come out to the rest of the world is an amazing thing, and I think this game is ripe for that. Now, we're jumping from Square into the other big company I have a lot of games for. The owner of the Super Nintendo would be, of course, Nintendo. And they have a lot of games on that system that I think could really use a little bit of life that they haven't got a treatment in a long time, because Nintendo loves bringing back NES stuff. But from Super Nintendo onward, it gets a little bit more spotty. But to bridge the gap between Square and Nintendo, why don't we pick the game that bridged the gap to begin with Super Mario RPG Legend of the Seven Stars. Now, this is a game that is hard to get your hands on right now, and many people love it. Enough people love it that a character from this game, Geno, has been topping the Smash wanted lists for years. It's incredible that he's from one game, from a console long gone, and he hasn't been in any main starring game since. He showed up as a cameo here and there, but that's it. And to see him be up there is pretty phenomenal, and it speaks to how much people love this game. And I think to bring this game back in such a way would be beautiful. The game still looks great to this day. You say that about most Super Nintendo games, I would say. Bringing this game back seems like a no-brainer to me. It's just a lot of red tape. Who owns what? Who owns this? But if they could work together and bring it back, that'd be amazing. And it could open some new doors into my next set of games. Some of these are from, like, more modern systems, not necessarily Super Nintendo, but they're all Nintendo games. And the ones I want to see the most out of any of these is Pokemon Black and White and Black 2 and White 2. Now, we know eventually Black and White will get a remake treatment. We don't know necessarily if Black 2 and White 2 will, so it makes it a bit of a weird case here, where Pokemon obviously remakes every generation a couple years down the line. Last year we got Diamond and Pearl remakes and Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, so it won't be for a little while yet. I think 2 more generations we'll see the next set of updated Pokemon and the next set of remakes in whatever Black 2 and whatever Black and White, whatever they want to call it. I would love to see a combo of Black 2 remake, White 2 remake. That would be phenomenal. I don't know if necessarily that would be the case, but hey, if we got HD-2D remakes of both in the same package, I think those would sell like crazy. I think people would be able to fall in love with those games the way a lot of us did back on the DS. That's like kind of the forgotten generation. People that have played it love it. People that haven't look at it weirdly. Enough to Pokemon talk. Moving on from that, but yes, if those games got it, those are my 1 and 2, I guess. I'm kind of cheating here. There's 4 games in one slot. I don't care. Make it. That'd be beautiful. On to the next one, we got Kirby Superstar Ultra, which is already a remake of Kirby Superstar on the Super Nintendo. So, like, yes, it's a Super Nintendo game, but it's not. Because if you're like, why would you remake a remake? Again, Dragon Quest III originally came out on the Famicom, and then got remade for the Super Famicom, and is getting the HD-2D remake for modern consoles. So, precedent. I love this game. My favorite Kirby game. One of my, if not my favorite DS game. I love this game to death. I think that if you haven't played it and you have a DS, you're crazy, and you should play it. It's just a bunch of smaller games all kind of compiled into one massive experience, and I would love to be able to play that game again, put it on a big living room TV as opposed to my little DS screen, and just be able to bask in the wonder of a Kirby world. And it's just fun having this on here, because not every game that gets remade needs to be an RPG or an adventure game, so having a platformer like this, I think, would be a lot of fun, and be able to see that art style in a different light. Now we have another game that never made its way out of Japan. We have a big franchise nowadays, not of course back then, but we have Fire Emblem Genealogy of the Holy War, which is the final game on the Super Famicom. This is a game where Fire Emblem started developing into the franchise that we know it today. It adopted a lot of the systems we see today, it adopted a lot of the ideas we see. It's the turning point of a series that is still locked in Japan. And we've been lucky that a couple of Fire Emblem games have been re-released here. The first game got re-released in just a new translation, and then got put on the Switch. The second game got a full remake treatment and got put on the 3DS. And, of course, with Triangle Strategy, brought a game like Fire Emblem to light, so they have some knowledge in that game field. So bringing this game, and again, you make the argument of picking anyone that hasn't been re-released, but this is the one that seems the most interesting to me. Seems the biggest, most expansive, most interesting one. I would love to see it. As a Fire Emblem fan, I would adore this. Now, we have 3 more to talk about here. These 3, I doubt. I highly doubt. Any of the other ones, you know, the 3 Nintendo ones, whatever, you could say will never happen, and they probably won't. But these ones, I don't think will ever happen. And there's 2 more Nintendo ones, so let's get those out of the way. We have Golden Sun. Golden Sun and its sequel, both on the Game Boy, is another franchise that's just been lost to time, and I don't think we'll ever see again, which is weird, because they made 2 of them pretty quickly. I don't think they did terrible, and people really like them. And another one that people want to see Isaac in Smash. So I think it absolutely makes sense to re-release these, and to do an HD-2D treatment of them would fit right along the lines of them doing a lot of RPGs in this art style, and I think it would look amazing. So I don't see any problem, but I don't know. There's probably reasons why these games haven't been re-released, and I don't know. But give them a new coat of paint. New people will love them. Maybe we'll get another game in that franchise. That'd be great. So these last 2 are pretty much like guaranteed to not for different reasons. So we'll start with the Nintendo one to keep with the same franchises here. Mother 3, a game that people have been clamoring to be released forever. Why it's not still is beyond me, and I don't understand why it's not just translated. I guess it has some themes that Westerners wouldn't like, but just give it a T rating. Why is that such a big deal? Release the game. Nintendo, one of the weirdest things, I mean, Earthbound Beginnings finally came out, and that was great, but why this game still hasn't, I'll never know. Until it gets re-released, and then we'll know, but until then. And finally, we're cheating again here, but there were 2 Castlevania games I have, either Super Castlevania 4 or Symphony of the Night. These are 2 of the most beautiful looking games, I think, in existence, with that typical 16-bit art style. And to see them even give it a little bit more of a facelift, I think they would be gorgeous. That's basically why I put them on here. Again, also because they're not RPGs or adventure games, so putting that art style in something like, you know, a Metroidvania would be beautiful. And to be able to see these games, which are the ones I feel like aren't ever included. They're people's favorites, and they're never included in, like, collections and stuff. It seems very weird to me. But put those 2 out, you know? I work with Konami. That's pretty much why they're in the never gonna happen category, but you never know. Crazier things have happened. So that's my list of, I say 10, but more than 10, technically. Like, let me know if you think of any other games that you would want to see in this treatment. Obviously, there's a bunch more Square games, any of the Final Fantasies, any of the Dragon Quests. Hey, maybe there's other games that are locked in Japan that I never even knew about that would be better picks. If you know those, please let me know. Thank you so very much for watching. And as always, like this if you like this, subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you at some point.